So today we're going to be talking about Pearl and how Pearl has changed in kind of a significant way over the past month or so, however long it's been since Chamber got nerfed. And I made a video not too long ago about Pearl, but I really wanted to focus on one specific area of the map with some specific examples as well to really highlight what has changed and how this map now has changed and looks a bit more like Icebox. So the area of the map we're going to be focusing on is this square here outside of B. Because what has changed in this area is that, as we'll see in this round here, this is Optic versus Xset back at Champs. So this is when we're still in the Chamber meta, all of that, and we got Ye here on Chamber, and we've got Marved here on Astra as well. And this really is how this has changed, and we're going to compare it to a game that happened yesterday in the NA challenges LCQ. But let's just take a look at this round first, right? So we're going to start off, and we're just focusing on this B side of the map. We're going to start off with this, right? So we've had a recall star here on the right-hand side. You might be able to just see it a bit. You got Cryo putting down his chamber TPs just here. But actually, Marv has gone for an Astra suck just here as well to try and stop Cryo from getting across there. We got Ye, who's got his chamber ult, and we got Marv here as well, staring down, right? And so they are heavily trying to contest this space and stop people from getting in here. And what's going to happen is, this smoke is going to fade, and Marv is going to, be firing some bullets there. Cryo has to TP away, and we end up in this situation here, right? But what's going to happen is the call from Xset is going to be that they are going to come towards this B site. But you can we've still got this setup with Ye down here, still zooming in just there. KO knife comes in here. Ye is just about able to avoid that KO knife, so they still don't know he's here. Right, and now he's going to sneak back up again with his tour de force and start to look at this angle, right? And I just want you to look at how much Xset use to just try and take control of this space, right? Just this space, not the site, just this space, right? Because they are going to throw a lot at this. And you can see the Optics plan here is to get their two best aimers, Ye and Marv, on this angle and really stop it, right? So we get one Fade Prowler coming out. Marv destroys that for Ye. Don't worry, we're about to get a second Fade Prowler coming out as well. Right, here it comes. Here comes the second Fade Prowler coming out from BCJ just there. They put a smoke down as well on one side. Little recall star. Okay, they're still not done. They still haven't turned this corner, right? So what are we going to do now? Okay, now we're gonna flash around this corner, right? So we send a KO flash just there. We got the neon slide, BCJ swinging with that. We finally force Ye to TP out, but we're not even done yet because, we aren't fully sure where Marv is now. So we're gonna send a neon stun in. We're gonna send a second KO knife. This is the second KO knife that they have put on this, right? Just to fully clear this area and to make sure that no one is there, right? So we've spent a ton of utility, right? Just an absolute ton of utility just to clear that to then get in onto the site. And because we've used so much utility, of course, that means we then have less to actually get in onto the site. Now, we still have some, right? We've still got the KO nade there and the neon wall. And in this round, we have a Fade ult as well. But they don't have enough to where, Marv feels like he has to fully retreat. He feels like, I can still survive this. I can still stay in here. And you're going to see he manages to find a little gap in the wall just on the other side. Ye manages to get one kill just there as the smoke fades. Xset try and come in onto the site. Marv gets 2 kills, and then we end up in this 3v2, and ultimately Optic will end up winning this round, and they would go on to win this game. Cosmic Divide comes up. They do a really nice job here in trying to stop the spike. The KO nade comes in from Victor just there. They stop the spike getting down, and we end up in this spot here where ultimately Cryo's got no time and he's going to die just there. And that is a way that Optic, who I would say back in the day were probably the best team on this map, and the way that they liked to defend this map was to put their two best aimers holding down this space, right? This was a regular thing. Sure, Ye would move around the map, obviously on Chamber you'd like to mix it up and whatnot, but one of their main ways of defending this map was to put Marv there, Ye somewhere up here, right, getting aggressive, holding this space as well as they could. But now we're going to take a look at Or Esports versus Nearest Airport that happened yesterday. And Or Esports in this half of Pearl, when they were on the defensive side, won 10 rounds. But 6 of those 10 were in retake scenarios. 6 of those 10 were by defusing the spike. Now that almost never happens. And actually there was a couple other scenarios as well. Nearest Airport got onto the sites very, very often in this half, but they only won 2 rounds because this map has completely changed, right? Because of that chamber nerf, and this is a crucial point to remember as well. Pearl has never been played, pre-chamber, right? Every other map, be it Fracture, Fracture came out before Chamber came out, so we had a bit of time to see what Fracture looked like without Chamber. We have never seen Pearl without Chamber, right? So teams, I think, are still adapting to this. But now, as we saw from that clip just before with Ye and Marv really holding down this area, that almost never happens anymore, right? What happens now is you have one of two options these days. Is either you do what Or Esports are doing here, and you have like one person just kind of checking on this, but not really holding it down in kind of a very kind of, I'm going to stay here and really try and fight this. They'll stay there, look for the information, and then probably just run away. Or you get like 3 or 4 people like pushing this, right? Not just to hold it, but then to like push out. That's kind of the basic ways of defending this now. This is how you'll often see. And yeah, some teams running Jet, and maybe a Jet can get a bit aggressive, but still probably needs a bit more help. It's not going to be as easy as it was for a Chamber to just get set up and maybe, get away and whatnot. And you're going to see that even though this is the second round, and yes, actually, Nearest Airport did force in this second round, but we're just going to have to give up this space, right? And just play for retake instead for Or Esports. And, we just got the jiggle peaks there, right? And at this point, they don't even know that that isn't just a bunch of classics. But even so, you're still getting the respect, right? You're still giving them that respect of, if 5 people swing me, even with 5 classics, that's not a great position to be in. There's no need to take that risk. And so we're going to play for retake instead. And so this is now a very common scenario, right? Where before we saw Xset use just a ton of utility to try and take this space, right? In this instance, we use nothing, right? We literally just walk down here, right? Nothing needed to be used. And this is a very common thing. And I know you'll say, well, this is only one round from one game and one round for another, but this is happening a lot more, right? Where even lurkers, right? You wouldn't ever really, or it'd be pretty rare to see someone lurking, just coming down on the B site and getting like all the way up here. But now it actually happens quite often, right? And that really is how this map has changed. Without Chamber now, this space has almost become like an attacker's sided space, right? This is not as neutral of a space that it used to be. This is almost for the attackers. And so getting in onto this B site and, doing what we're doing here where, we've got the spike down and not a bullet has been fired. This is a lot more common now than it was previously. Because we don't have that Chamber, right? And so, Or Esports, they're going to have a really nice retake, by the way, here. Let's just take a look at this, right? We get the breach done, really good aftershock. We're going to get a nade kill because of that as well. We come swinging together, right? At the right time, and I think we're even going to get a boombot kill here on Calypso, although it gives it a nice try. But yeah, we get a boombot kill as well, and we get a really nice retake. And so this is how Pearl has really changed. And I say it's more like Icebox because, of course, like on Icebox is a very common thing to see as well, right? 5 people walking up to the site, get onto the site, and we play for a 5v5 retake. Like, that is a very, very common thing that you see on Icebox. And, it didn't happen as much on Pearl. It would happen every so often, but now it happens a lot. Now this is a very, very common thing to see happen. And I'll just give you another example from this game as well, round number 4, where, we're about 30 seconds into the round or whatnot, but here comes the call from Nearest Airport to come down towards B. You can see we've got the Killjoy set up just there. But again, these guys here, right, they've just put this Killjoy turret down. There's just here, you can just see it just there. And then they're just walking it, right? There's again, no real feel the need to use like, KO knife in here or anything like that, right? This KO knife that used to come in here pretty much every round on this pillar, just doesn't really exist anymore because teams know that, people aren't really contesting this. Yeah, we're still going to check our corners, but we're not really expecting anyone to be there, right? It would be weird. And so again, we got this passive Killjoy setup here instead, right? It's just the Killjoy on this B site. The breach is now rotating over, but it's just the Killjoy here with the turret and the 2 nanoswarms. Again, very Icebox-esque, right? Where we're putting our nanoswarms, where we expect the spike to be planted rather than trying to stop them from actually getting in onto the site. Again, a very common thing you see nowadays. And this has fundamentally changed how the map is going to be played. And I think, we'll see if the meta, adapts to this, if teams really start thinking like, if we're just going to play retake B, pretty much the whole time, right? What is the best way to do that? Because I still think we're in kind of that molding period of like, people really figuring out, what exactly should be played. We have a duelist debate on this map now with some people playing Jet, others not. As we get a nice little look at this retake as well here. This is going to be the second retake that Or Esports managed to get on this B site on this map. And as I said, they were doing this a lot, but found a lot of success with it. It was clearly that, they had a plan. They knew what they were doing with these retakes. This is kind of what they they planned for, essentially, it seemed. And even though they had slightly worse weapons in this round, they are going to manage to ultimately win it, as you'll see, as it comes right down to the wire. But yeah, just an interesting development, I think, here on Pearl. And I think that, without Chamber, with this map changing the way that it has, right, because of this space now, this kind of changes the arithmetic on the map, right, if you want, right? Because if attackers feel like, okay, we can get the spike planted down on B fairly easy, 80% of the time or whatever it's going to be, that's going to maybe mean that teams just lean into this a bit more than the other side of the map, right? That's the thing about Icebox, is kind of both sides kind of play out like that, some of the time. So, teams might have a favorite side, but, other teams can have another favorite side. Whereas with this map, this A site, people might be like, well, this is just going to be a bit harder to, we got to fight for maybe this space, and then we got to fight to get onto the site. Whereas with this one, we can walk right up to the site for free, and plant the spike probably pretty easily, and then as long as our post plants are good, right, we're good, right? And so we might see some kind of big shift on Pearl to reflect that, right? Teams going for more post plant lineups, teams going for, more kind of consideration of just this B site, what we really need, now that there isn't that threat of Chamber, now that we don't, fear that Chamber that much. Sure, it could be a Jet that's up there in this angle, but even if this Jet gets a kill, they're still in a lot of trouble, right? They can't get all the way back here. They're going to have to fight it out. They're probably going to need help from teammates. They can't just sit here on their own anymore like a Chamber maybe could, right? As soon as we got this control, we can leave a Chamber with an op here. We can't just leave a Jet with an op there, because there isn't an easy way out for that Jet. And so, yeah, this map has really, really changed in kind of a fundamental way, and I'll be interested to see if teams, do go the all esports kind of way of this, where it was very clear that they had thought about their retakes and found a lot of success with their retakes and were often playing for a retake, especially on this B site.